Welcome to Colleagues Getting Coffee. My name is Annalise James, and today I am joined by Louise Bowditch, the founder of the M Word and fan Fatale.
Good morning. Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. So what do you do, darling?
Well, I think in a nutshell, I'm a fixer of midlife muddles.
It's a little bit Harry Potter-esque.
Well, maybe.
I like it.
There may be a bit of magic thrown in there.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, so it's focusing on the menopause.
Yes.
This is what you focus on.
But it's the mindset of menopause.
Yeah.
Because I found from personal experience that is the key. Mm-hmm. If you can keep your mindset in the right space, then you really have the best chance of making your sort of the effects of the menopause as best as they can, and you will cope the best that you can if your mindset is in the right place to begin with.
This is an amazingly niche area actually as well. I don't think I've ever come across somebody who helps people through the menopause.
No, I don't think there's many of us out there. Mm-hmm. I call myself a menopause mentor.
Yeah.
And I heard the other day that there's about 1,800 of us in the UK spread across sort of nationwide. I thought that was quite a lot, but then when I was carrying on speaking, I think compared to other kinds of coaches, then that's just a drop in the ocean.
Absolutely. Well, you look at sales coaching or NLP or something like that, there's tons and tons and tons.
Yes, or life coaching, style coaching, all those kind of things.
And actually it's really helpful what you're doing because it's something that's happening to people that they can't control, and actually that's incredibly challenging for them to deal with.
Very much so, and I think that's one of the reasons why the mindset has to be in the right place, because this is something that no one can escape if they're going through the natural course of their sort of hormonal journey. There are obviously women who won't have that for various reasons, medical reasons, etc. But on the whole, most women will go through this if they live to the to the ripe old age of 50. The average age in the UK is 51.
Okay.
But if they live to that, to that age, then there is every likelihood they will be going through the menopause. Whether or not they have all the symptoms is different. It's kind of 80% of women who go through the menopause will have symptoms of some kind. So that is just about everyone you know.
Jesus. It's terrifying actually, as a woman thinking, oh, this is going to happen to me.
Yes, and I don't want to frighten you because the thought of it is terrifying. I won't ever sugarcoat it. It can be pretty crappy. Pretty rubbish. However, if you can look after your mindset, I keep banging on about it, and because for me that's been the key. Because without a positive approach to it, then I couldn't have got the help that I needed. I couldn't have started a business. All those kind of things which we need to have a positive frame of mind in order to get us to the next step.
So how did you end up then working in the menopause? What happened?
Well, a bit of a long story, and I won't go into all the details, but basically I used to be a florist and a photographer, and I had a retail florist shop, and this was about 3 years ago, and I suddenly was getting waves of anxiety, and I had no clue. And I think my doctor had kind of been hinting every so often, it could be your age, and I was like, for goodness sake, I'm far too young. I was in complete denial until I then started to do a little bit of research, and I found out that the lack of progesterone, as your hormones start changing, progesterone, which is at its peak during sort of mid-cycle, the progesterone itself actually starts to fall away. Because the estrogen is starting to fall away, and for me that was the progesterone is your calming hormone. It kind of makes everything lovely because it thinks it's going to have a fertilized egg to look after and keep you in the right space. But when that's not happening, then your progesterone levels drop and you end up without that sort of natural calming influence on your body, hence why anxiety is very, very common, and for me I think that was the biggest indicator. And it was very difficult because I have suffered with anxiety on and off.
Well, a lot of people do suffer from anxiety, so I suppose actually if you were to potentially go through the menopause earlier, you might not even notice because you'd be expecting it to happen at about 50, but actually if you were suddenly suffering from anxiety, you'd be like, oh my god, maybe this is...
Well, actually you can start the perimenopause, which is sort of all the as the body starts to change, and that can happen from the age of 35. But more often than not, it's kind of mid-40s. But if you've suffered with other side effects or from medication or just mental health issues or whatever, it would be very difficult. And a lot of women kind of fall through the net. They don't realise that actually this is a natural part of a hormonal change that's causing these other kind of seemingly unrelated issues, and therefore they get put on anti-anxiety medication, antidepressants, and the true cause, they don't have a clue.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because it's natural. But and actually, if you think about the opposite end of it, puberty, people talk about it loads and loads. But with menopause, it's sort of like this hidden secret thing that's sort of like, old ladies deal with it.
Well, I mean, probably 200 years ago, the ripe old age of 50 was considered old age. When obviously our mortality rates have changed, and the average age of death, I don't know, is sort of 80 something now. So a woman reaching sort of her mid-40s, she's only halfway through her life. She's got potentially at least another 40 years. Probably as the health, our health improves, nutrition improves, all those kind of and sort of living conditions, etc. So that's where this very old school of thinking has come from, because women who were perhaps past their childbearing years were called crones. I mean, it's just horrendous, I know. So the fact now that women in their 50s are really kind of, I know it's an overused phrase, but we're really stepping into our power now. This is when the positive mindset will help you sort of realise some really important truths in your life, and then you can suddenly kind of take a bit more control back. You have got to, it's a bumpy ride though, no sugarcoating.
Fair enough. So obviously, putting this in a bit more of a business situation, this is particularly difficult for professional women.
Yes.
Going through this.
I mean, I've been very lucky in as much as I have been self-employed for a long time. So even when perhaps I wasn't aware of any effects of the menopause, I still had control of my diary, and if I wasn't feeling well enough or feeling up to anything, I could actually take control of that. Whereas there are a lot of professional women who are in a 9-to-5 and beyond, who by the age of sort of 50, if a woman's had a corporate career, they're usually going to be kind of working their way up within a sort of a corporate type environment, or they are one half of the breadwinners of the family. They may have children at university, so finances are important, so they have to work. And this is one of the things that I want to be able to do, and that is to address how we support the women in midlife through their sort of professional area.
Because it's very challenging, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're in I know I've known a few like professional women who've gone through this, and they're talking to a director, and then suddenly they feel like their insides are burning and they can't manage it, and they're just stood there thinking, I've got to be professional, I've got to be professional. Just adds another layer of stress to the whole thing, right?
Stress, embarrassment, shame, and I don't want to tar all men with the same brush, but there will be some men out there, especially if they are themselves sort of been in the corporate world for a long time, therefore they are going to be of an older generation. They will also have a similarly embarrassing kind of like awkward, like what the hell do I do here? And I want to be able to ensure that I can tell or sort of share my experiences and some knowledge to both men and women. And I think within a corporate environment, that's probably as important as teaching perhaps our younger people about it, so they know what to expect. And the thing is, it's going to affect everybody, because it might not affect you. If you're a guy, personally, you're not going to go through it. If you're young at the moment, you're not going to go through it yet, but you might, and you possibly will. And also, it will affect your mum, your sister, and if
women get the best stuff, don't they?
It's because we can handle it.
Because it's strong women. I love it. So you're all about empowering women, and
Indeed.
You've developed an initiative alongside your business model, haven't you?
I have, yes. So when I was thinking about the elements to my business, I wanted something sort of like a merchandise or a product, if you like, to help spread the word. So I have the coaching side of my business, and then I have Fatale. And Fatale is an idea to bring instant relief. So it's an actual physical product. It is affordable, it's lightweight, it's made from eco-friendly fabric, and it's a hand fan.
Okay.
So that was kind of the starter point, but then it was like, how do we then spread the word? I mean, the women who hopefully will be buying these fans will be women my age. And it was like, how do we spread the word? How do we kind of let women own their bodies and own what is happening to them? Take sort of ownership of it. It's not about control, because we don't have control over what is happening to our bodies, but it's how we do have control over how we present ourselves in our lives and, you know, in sort of in society. So that's where sort of the slogans, the kind of slightly feisty, slightly kind of, you know, fun, but, you know, kind of making a point. You know, this is what's happening to us. If we've got to deal with it, the least that you can do is just, you know, witness that, bear witness to us. And so so I have an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign running at the moment, and it's called The Menopause Gets Cool.
Amazing. So people can go on the crowdfunding, they can pledge support, they can get a fan.
Yes, there's sort of different levels of support. So there is just a purely sort of non-product based donation. Okay, so, and that is about $10. And then from there are different levels, so you can buy a fan from $19 and then multiples of, and obviously the higher the multiple, the cost of each fan comes down. And it's about sort of thinking about your mum, your sister, your auntie, you know, your colleagues at work, etc., etc., just to kind of spread the word. And I'm hoping it's something that everyone can get behind, of all ages and of both sexes.
I love it. It's an amazing idea.
Yes, I'm really happy it's happening.
So some of the reasons that you have been galvanised in this area is because you have a business coach, don't you?
I do.
And you found that really valuable.
I have been doing a lot of self-development, sort of personal and business, over the last sort of couple of years. And I suddenly realised that I've been self-employed on and off for nearly 10 years, or actually over 10 years. And I have created businesses from scratch, and I've had a certain amount of success. But I haven't had the success that I wanted, in as much as it wasn't something that I absolutely loved all the time. And I realised if I wanted to, I mean, it's a very old sort of cliche saying, but if you want to make some changes in your life, you've got to make some changes in your life. So I realised I had to do something differently. And I've been a perpetual learner, but I've never had a business coach before, and that was a decision that I am so grateful that I made. And I would encourage anyone who can to go out there and find a business coach for them. So what does the coach do for you? What does she just kind of keep the reins on? Does she direct you in directions? What does she give you business balls? Like what? Yes, I've got big cojones at the moment. It's amazing, and I'm like thrilled about that. Who knew? Amazing. It's a combination. I sometimes feel like I've had a bit of therapy when I'm there chatting, because she's really getting to the bottom of what makes me tick. And what makes me tick will be, what has been or is what is propelling my business forward. I know that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to stop women feeling isolated in a really difficult and challenging time of their life, because that's how I'd felt. I have got quite a bit of experience with sort of body confidence, but I didn't feel as though that's the direction I wanted to go in. Body confidence takes a part in, you know, my coaching business, but it's not, and obviously it affects everybody. It's better to be specific as well. But I really wanted to be niche, and I don't think you can be more niche. And also it was being niche, but with a huge target audience, because half the world's population potentially are going to be going through something similar. So speaking to my business coach, we kind of nailed it down. So something that I've always found difficult is to really focus and hone in, and then drill down. And also stay focused. Indeed. Because I feel exactly the same. I'm like, I've got this idea, and then suddenly it merges into different things, and actually just having someone to be like, this was the path that you said, let's follow that specific path. I'm a bit prone to shiny object syndrome, and I go, because ideas have never been an issue. I'm very good with ideas, but to actually rein myself in. That's, you know, I think a bit of discipline, business discipline, focus has been an issue, and I'm always off to the next thing. I mean, and if I unpick that a bit more, that is down to fear.
Well, of course, it's the imposter syndrome. It's the
imposter syndrome, procrastination. You know, who am I? Or
where do I come from? What?
Yes.
Do I even have a point of view here? Am I allowed to have a point? What's my experience?
And it's also, as you get closer to your, you know, target that you set out, you're like, oh my God, crap! I'm going to have to actually do this now. I actually feel pretty chuffed with myself that I realised that I need to do something different, because you have to just have a word with yourself and go, okay, you know, what I've been doing hasn't been working.
Well, and that's the definition of madness, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah.
For sure. Amazing. Okay, so how can people find out more about you?
So they can go to my website, which is it's very difficult, louisebowditch.com.
Okay, cool.
And on there they can find out about my different coaching programs, so my 12-week coaching program, the M-word hotline, and Fan Fatale. There's a link when they hit on the Fan Fatale button on the top of the menu. There's a link through to the crowdfunding video, because it's still live, it's still a current campaign. I would love it if people could share.
Yeah, amazing.
So we can spread the word.
Well, thank you for empowering women.
Well, no, thank you for having me.
I hope when I go through it, you're still around. I'll be like, hi, help me.
Oh, I don't know, might be in a wheelchair, maybe.
I'm burning up. Give me a fan. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
Amazing.
Cheers.